My connections to this site are several. It was a county council site, as had been mentioned, and I was really proud to be here at the opening of the Beth Shalom Reform Synagogue, because it was a piece of land that was no longer in use. And as part of that, I said I'd do a slideshow, and I was able to show members of the community in the synagogue what had happened to the people that had been the previous occupants of the site. So I remember coming here about 2011, and the original social club was there, assigned to the Yasume club, and I don't know where it ended up. At least if I'd taken it, probably illegally, it would have ended up somewhere useful. But it is really poignant that on this site, before the synagogue was based here, a community with many members whose family got exterminated by Nazi barbarity. That community feels for the community that was there before, and over around 800 members of the Cambridgeshire Regiment died in Singapore, and ludicrously 5 weeks or 3 weeks before it capitulated. So they were people who spent 3 weeks fighting the Japanese and then 3.5 years in incarceration in appalling slavery conditions. So I got involved because I just happened to stumble across a cemetery 30 years ago, and it was quite clear that in Kanchanaburi a lot of Cambridgeshire men had seen their last times, slavery on a railway. And when I became leader and when I became a councillor, we organised an event which was about 10 years ago now, and about 10 of the survivors came to tea at the Guildhall. But as has been said, sadly none are with us anymore. The last, I think, died last March. But the other part of this week was that in 1946, which was 75 years ago, the whole of the regiment, which was 2 battalions, and both battalions had been sent into Singapore, was granted the freedom of the city. And there's an absolutely beautiful piece of film which is still available on YouTube, Pathé Pic. And imagine the market square completely full of people, as well as the parade of them. And they really did want to fight for their country, and it was a huge inhumanity that their lives were shortened and ended with such futility. I know I wouldn't say that if I was their son or a relative, but they did suffer, and they suffered when they came home as well. And my final point was just that the Yasume Club was a real community. A guy called Don Few and a whole bunch of others helped set it up. They started off in the Mac fisheries. You have to be fairly long in the tooth and long Cambridge resident to remember that there was a lion yard before the one that I just walked through, where I used boots. And then they went to a drill hall, and then they came to this club, which had previously been a council social club, and they really made the most of it. And they brought their children, their friends, and one point that was made to me was the wives really supported each other. I mean, if people have seen a film like The Railwayman, there's just the burden that the survivors carried, having seen so many of their colleagues die. So
you should be able to just pull the belt.
I've seen people try this. There it is.
Pull, keep pulling.
And the symbol that's on there is the blazer badge that would have been worn by the Far East prisoners of war. And to the tribute of the Queen and the late Duke of Edinburgh, they regularly paid tribute to the Far East prisoners of war and made sure that it wasn't just VE Day, which we kind of, Europe, we remember the war generally on VE Day, but the end of the war happened on